Ladies and gentlemen, this is your host Yasmin Aftab Ali from channel Yasmin Aftab Ali and program Yasmin Aftab Ali ke saath. Today I want to discuss the visit of the President of Belarus to Pakistan, which is rather large, into the relationship between China and Belarus. Furthermore, Belarus is under a lot of sanctions by the European Union, by US, by UK, and also Switzerland. And what likely fallout effect any relationship, economic or otherwise, between Pakistan and Belarus can have upon Pakistan. Now, coming to our first segment of the program, I would like to start with making the statement that Pakistan's government took an excellent initiative in looking towards borders other than the regular places where they export their goods to. It is important for a country like Pakistan to expand upon its economy, to look towards markets where they can export their products. This is something that Pakistan direly needs. But then, when we talk about thinking of such a relationship with Belarus, we need to keep certain facts in mind. And I am going to share some facts about the relationship between Belarus, China, and Russia with you. China and Belarus have supported each other on issues concerning their core interests in international organizations and various forums and various alliances. China has historically viewed Belarus as a strategic partner. It wants to use and has used Belarus for transiting their goods to the European Union because China wants to have a better relationship economically with the countries that form a part of the European Union. However, Belarus is now faced even with having its borders closed, with isolation from the larger Western countries. In the wake of the Ukrainian conflict, China and Belarus have forged a very strong tie. A notable aspect was China's abstaining from voting against Russia and Belarus when the vote took place. This points clearly towards the fact that these three countries are very, very strongly aligned and their interests are on the same page. Undoubtedly, China views Belarus as a crucial ally in the Belt and Road Initiative, and Minsk, on the other hand, is keen to expand its export sector into China. If you remember, in November 2023, the China International Import Expo was held in Shanghai. And 70 organizations and entities from the Belarus took part in it. In 2022, the trade between the two nations reached 5.08 billion US dollars. That is not a mean feat. And Belarus exports goods that jumped by 77% to China. Now that's a huge going up. And therefore, it is in the interest of Belarus to go by as maybe a lesser ally, but an ally nonetheless with China, because its economic interests are tied with China. And this is a very crucial point. We as a nation, anybody as a nation, cannot go against their bigger interests, their economic interests. As I always say, countries are driven by economies. Politics today are driven by economies. And this is a harsh reality. And this is a reality of Pakistan's today as well. In 2022, the declaration between Belarus and China, Minsk supported the one China principle, completely negating Taiwanese independence. Now, just this was a brief cap on the relationship between Belarus and China. Now, I would like to bring to your notice, in your knowledge, the sanctions that have been placed on Belarus. The European Union had imposed the sanctions after the 2020 elections, which they said was fraudulent, which violated the human rights, and which suppressed the opinion of the people. In coordination with their allies, Canada, UK, and other nations, Union imposed very harsh sanctions on Belarus, and the Department of Treasury uh, imposed sanctions on 19 individuals and 14 entities. They also grounded an aircraft, saying that it was a blocked property. UK also has imposed a very broad-based base against Belarus in terms of sanctions. This was followed by Switzerland. Switzerland also has done the same along with the Western allies. A few questions in my mind, keeping in mind the geopolitical situation, because in today's world, no country is isolated from the other. In one way or the other, nations are dependent and interdependent upon each other. Whether or not they like it, they become part of certain blocks due to their economic, geographical, regional alliances, and yes, bigger global interests. Now, here, the West opposed Russia as because of it invaded Ukraine, but with a sharp and close nexus between Belarus and China in particular, as well as Russia. How well is any prospective relationship between Pakistan and Belarus is going to go down with the US? Now, before you say that we are not slaves, my dear listeners, nations like this who depends on funds given by institutions have policies that are compromised. And this is a harsh reality. Now, US views China as its rival opponent to trade, regional, and global hegemony before even stepping into the White House. Trump has already announced that he is going to impose a 60% increase in Chinese product in form of duties when they come in the US within its borders. Can Pakistan afford to anger US? And remember, all our donating institutions are like the IMF and the World Bank, and we cannot, even if we want, incur the ire of the US, because unless and until we get the loans, our economy is going to tank. And this again is a harsh reality. If the listeners recall, some time ago, maybe a couple of years ago, Pakistan was desperate to jumpstart its pipeline project with Iran. And since Iran is also under sanctions by the US and various other Western counterparts, and when Pakistan had sought the permission of Iran, of US, permission may be a harsh word, just swung this by US that they want to do this, US had been very vocal about warning Pakistan and cautioning Pakistan that should it want to go further with this pipeline with Iran, Pakistan itself might face a negative cascading effect. Please translate this sentence into sanctions. So, yes, great idea. Pakistan should expand its horizons. Great idea that we should expand and find new countries to export. But we need to be very cautious that we are not treading any toes. We are not making anyone angry whose anger may matter. With this question and this food for thought, ladies and gentlemen, until the next time, this is your host from channel Yasmin Aftab Ali. And if you have not subscribed this channel, do it now.